Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I'm Coulter Wonkite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
It sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.net and also from the front window of Canada's in downtown Campbellford. I'm your host, Dal Graham. Tonight I am joined by my joint host, Kim Cooper, and she has brought us a guest that is a cannabis writer and an author. But before we find out more, it's time for Kim and I to have a quick chat. Hello, Kim. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad tonight, Al. Hanging in. November is upon us. The year is almost over. And, man, it's been an evolution, to say the least.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Well, Kim, let's get right to our news article.
Yeah, speaking of evolutions, the evolution of the cannabis industry. The cannabis industry in Ontario, not so much going off without a hitch. No, we cannot say that at all. It's been an epic fail in Ontario. Everybody involved really knows that firsthand. But yet more problems exist for the OCS.
Yeah, like we're hearing about all this shortage issues, supplies, deliveries, post office delays. People are still waiting for their orders that they requested back on the opening day on the 17th.
October 17th, and here we are, first week of November is in the bag, and they still don't have them, and the hits just keep on coming. And they got hit one more time. There's been a data breach at the OCS.
Yes, the OCS store says that a data breach through Canada Post has affected information for 4,500 customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Information has been downloaded. They say some of the stuff that has gone astray to God only knows where, delivery information that was disclosed was stuff like postal codes, names and or initials of people who signed for the delivery, the date of delivery, OCS reference numbers, Canada Post tracking numbers, and corporate names and business addresses.
Yes, they say that no payment information or anything like that was taken.
Yeah, but nonetheless, everybody who got this information knows for some pretty good specifics about people that placed orders for cannabis products. And it kind of makes the mind wander as to what this data could be used for.
Yes, exactly. And don't forget, this happened a week ago, November the 1st.
And they're just telling us now.
Yeah.
And they're just telling us now.
Hello.
So, it's not an exorbitant number. It's under 5,000 concerned, and that's what they say so far anyway. But we've seen these kind of things evolve into larger numbers at a later date. Let's hope that's not the case here, but it very well could be. I've seen it happen many times in the past. They use a low number at the beginning, and then a few days later they say, no, it was more than that, actually. So we'll wait and see how this evolves on that front.
Yeah, it will. Now, they also say that if customers who had placed orders with the OCS did not receive an email notifying them of the breach, then the order delivery information was not breached. It wasn't taken. It wasn't obtained.
So if you're on the list of people whose data was given away, you would have gotten an email about it. OCS is going to send you an email and say, hey, you know what? Somebody's got your info. So look in your email, people, if you placed an order with the OCS and see if you're on that list.
Yeah, I see Canada Post has admitted to the breach involving someone using its delivery tracking tool. Someone. So does that mean like an employee?
Well,
of
yeah,
Canada
the way
Post?
it's kind of, it makes you wonder, right? The way it's worded in this particular news article, it kind of makes you believe that it was an internal problem with a person, and perhaps they even know who that person is. So I think there's going to be more to be had with this story. I'll definitely be watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they must. It says here the Canada Post said it was confident the individual who assessed the information only shared it with Canada Post and deleted it. Well, how can they be confident of that?
Well, that's why I'm saying I think they know who it is. I think they know that somebody went in there and did this. And I think it's an internal thing. And definitely the privacy commissioner is on it. But he does say the risk of data is limited. But I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this because the general public is all roar about it. We don't like the idea of somebody having access to that kind of thing. And it just shows one more reason why this kind of a system is hazardous to a lot of people.
About 3 weeks ago, I attended a gathering of people, and I had a guy come up to me, and he says, Al, I help people with, their cannabis medicine, and I'll take a run. I'll take the risk, and I go down in the reserve, and I bring back medicine for people. And right now, they say they don't mind ordering it. They'd like to, maybe go to a store and buy it, but they won't order it online because they have to give up their information. And now, as you see here in this breach, this backs what their concern was.
That's exactly right. The federal government has even come out and said that there is a possibility that Border Patrol has access to your credit card information, and only a credit card is allowed to be used on this. This can stop people from crossing the border into the United States. People who work in the United States or do business down there that have to travel back and forth, their livelihoods depend on that travel. And accessing a legal product in our country should never interfere with that. So the system is obviously it's just a clusterfuck.
Yeah. It's going to take a while to unwind.
Yeah.
All right, Kim, what do you say? Time to welcome our guest into the show?
Yes, and as a fellow Ontarian, I'm sure he has a point of view on this as well.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking to him. But okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome tonight's guest, who I said is a cannabis writer and author. But we'd like to welcome Jon Hiltz to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, Jon. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? It's great to be here.
Good. And how's things been with you?
No complaints. I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride since legalization, as I'm sure you guys know. It's funny, you were talking about the OCS breach, which I just learned about on your show just now. And it's fascinating to me because isn't it funny that for years the government wanted to try and find out who all the pot smokers were, and now that they know, they lose the information.
That's right. Okay, Jon, I'm going to hand the reins over to Kim and let her get going here, asking the questions, and I'll jump in as we go along.
Sounds good, Al. Thanks so much. Jon, it's been over a year. We were looking it up. It's been over a year since you were on the show. You are a return guest. You were on in June of 2017 last. Lots has gone on since you were last with us. At that time when you were on the show, you were working for Weed Maps, and we were discussing a lot of stuff that's going on. You're a writer, and just recently you have launched a brand new book that came out on paperback just this week, and you're on your way as a writer big time these days. Lots has been going on since you were on the show last, eh?
Yeah, I'm very grateful that this has come about. I got the publishing deal a while back, And it took a while, obviously, because I wanted to follow everything that was happening in legalization. And then finally, when we reached the mark, I said, okay, this is great. Let's pull the trigger. And so here we are. And I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm very grateful to be here.
Oh, love having you back and updating. You're kind of far away. You're not in Ontario right now to catch up on the evolution of things. You should fill people in on that right away. You're out in, you're pretty far. You're on the other side over there. You're at Costa Rica right now, right?
Yes, I'm currently in Costa Rica. We spend, essentially, being a writer has its perks. I get to spend winters here, and so we come back quite frequently. So right now you're catching me on the balcony staring at some palm trees, and there you go.
And there you go. Oh, good God. Such a rotten life you have.
Really?
I feel bad for you.
We're waiting for
If it's any
snow.
consolation,
Kim, I'm sure you got some
the
snow
weed
up there,
totally sucks.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? We've had snow since the first week of October.
Oh, God. All right. I hear you. Well, all right. No, that's definitely. The weather's better, but the weed here is definitely subpar to what we're used to.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
we'll have to ship you something down or something. We'll have to start lining your suitcase before you go.
I had
Yeah, exactly.
I know somebody went to Costa Rica, and they talked about how they could go along where I don't know where they were at, but they were actually able, like the monkeys were all in the trees, and they were wanting some food from them, or it was just like living right within the
they're
habitat.
all over the place here.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Monkeys,
you go to the jungle comes to you.
The monkeys sound like we see cats in the city, right?
Yeah, cats, raccoons. Yeah, it's essentially here it's monkeys and lizards, which arguably are more interesting.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Makes for some great scenery. That is amazing. Well, that's a nice view to have while we do the show. That's for sure. Now, not only your situation has changed and wintering now in Costa Rica, your work situation has changed a little bit too. I want to get into the book, but I want to give a good overview of Jon Hiltz and who you are for maybe the people out there that aren't aware of some of your stuff that you've done over the years. I know I've read a lot of the articles that you've written in various publications and kept track of you. And the new book is fantastic. But you changed gears when you left Weed Maps.
Yes, I did. I was working, as you know, for marijuana.com for 2 years as the international correspondent. And then there was a great, and again, I understand that there can be some animosity towards LPs, but this one that I work for is actually a fabulous one. There's a great LP that I work for. I'm the Director of Business Development for Indiva, which is out of London, Ontario, and our master grower is Pete Young, who, as you guys probably know, is a longtime activist.
Yeah.
And he, helped, bring us on his shoulders, along with many activists like yourself, to legalization. So I'm the Director of Business Development for them. And at the same time, I still write for Weed Maps and a number of other publications as well, just trying to do my part to continue to normalize and essentially tell people that weed is not the scary monster that they thought it was.
Excellent. Well, I'm not anti-LP. I don't think any of us are here at the station really anti-LP. We don't like the way the federal government is laying things out. I understand for myself anyway.
I agree.
And LPs are needed. They're a required thing. Not everybody has accessibility to, the online market or to going into dispensaries and that kind of thing. So a lot of patients, especially seniors, they want to use the LP. I wholeheartedly agree with LPs. I have my personal issue is the corporations, and there are certain LPs that I disagree with their business practices and their growing practices.
Me too.
And there are other LPs that have my wholehearted respect. But I think you find that in any business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have the LPs that obviously are totally focused on the bottom line, and that's essentially their existence. And then you, of course, have the ones that are in it. Of course, there's a certain element of making money, because that's how, like it or not, the world works. But at the same time, there's I believe that there's a balance to be had, and I would wholeheartedly agree with you that coming up to legalization, it was messy. The government dropped the ball on several occasions. There were times that they could have done way better. But I mean, I say to some of my activist friends, at the very least, we're here. 10 years ago, I had to buy my weed in a plastic sandwich bag from a guy that I didn't even know. In the streets, because that's all that was available to me. And then 5 years ago, I was able to walk into an unlicensed dispensary and buy products that I had never even heard of. And now today, I can essentially get it from anywhere. And that, in my opinion, is real progress.
That's for sure. I agree 100%, John. I think a lot of the people that are anti-LP, I don't think that they are truly anti-LP. I think they're anti-canopy growth and anti-corporation and anti-government restraint. I think everybody is screaming for the same thing: open market, make it fair for everybody, not just the big guys with big money coming in at the end off of all of the activist backs that got us here. Stop shutting us out of the industry that we created, and we'll be quite happy to share the space. Yeah, 100%. For sure.
That's it has to be inclusionary every step of the way. Everybody needs to have a turn. It's funny. You were talking about government. One of the things that I personally find appalling is how people and I don't want to drop names here. I'm not trying to drag people through the mud, but you have former prime ministers, for example, like Brian Mulroney, who has now decided to enter the cannabis industry. And you have, and to say that this is a hypocrisy is an understatement. You have a guy who wanted to make weed essentially more illegal when he was prime minister. How many thousands of people went to jail under his watch? And now suddenly he's changed his mind. Why? Because he can make cash at it. Well, he should be the last in line. I'm not saying he's not allowed to do business, but he should be the last. When everybody else gets a pardon, then he can enter the business.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing that makes people, so to speak, this anti-LP bandwagon that's kind of out there today is instances like that. You get like Chuck Rafisi, and you've got your Brian Mulrooney's now. And, I mean, all of these guys, Bill Blair is in charge of it all. Everybody's walking around scratching Julian Fantino. We're all walking around scratching our heads going, are you fucking kidding me?
There's a lot of politicians and law enforcement officials that are taking on the ownership of them, which seems
it's
right.
not.
And, I'm glad to see that the government's coming up with those micro producers and all that, but it's got to get going. It can't be delayed.
Yeah, for sure.
They got to. It's access for all, and that's the way it should be. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to get that out there, and let's clear the air on that one right away, because I know a lot of people, they see and hear the word LP and get their back up right away. So I wanted to get that right out there in the beginning. Yep. So your company that you work for, activist based.
Yeah. The guy who is in charge of our crops, Pete Young, started the London Cannabis Society back in the 1980s when he was essentially delivering medical marijuana to those who needed it by bicycle, just to get it to the people in need. And even to this day, exactly. And he still runs the London Compassion Society. He believes, just like all of us, that access is key. And, again, just like other activists, he's been arrested. He, and he really believes in what he's doing. And that's why we think that with that at the core of the company, it's very hard to steer in the wrong direction when you have that as the base, your foundation.
Excellent. Well, and now they've got you on board. How can they go wrong?
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I also too came from the gray market. But because when I was writing for Weed Maps, I was essentially pointing people on how to find unlicensed dispensaries. But I wouldn't say. I mean, believe me, compared to someone like Pete or even you guys, my activism or even advocacy pales in comparison. You guys are the ones boots on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We're all
played a
part of it.
Yeah, we all played a part, no matter how big or how small.
Like when the legalization happened, that's we might have heard a few names here and there in the newspaper, but in reality, it took millions of Canadians to do it. People who showed up at rallies or people who discussed things in a more private setting. All that stuff. Everybody was
That's right. Everybody from, some of the clients that I first counseled down in Temiskaming Shores 4 years ago, talking privately in a coffee shop setting about cannabis as a medicine, to the, 25 people we had at our first rally down there, to the 125 we had here in Timmins this year. And then you've got tens of thousands in cities like Toronto. But every single individual had a hand in this because everybody spoke up.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we overthrew the government. They couldn't keep up. They basically said, everybody's doing this. We've got to do something about it. And sure enough, they did.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's been a long road for us all, and we've all done our part. And we're not done quite yet. Legalization is here, but far from perfect, right?
Oh yeah, no, there's still a long way to go. I mean, I don't even know where they are currently with the impaired driving rules, but those are just a complete mess. Like that has to be fixed right away. I can tell you as a regular cannabis user, is it still 5 nanograms?
Yeah. 2.5 to 5 nanograms.
Yeah, so I got more nanograms of THC in my pee. That's what I'm saying. It's like because I don't smoke and drive, but as a regular user, I'm sure that I could have 5 nanograms and not have smoked a joint that day.
Well, I can tell you right now. Okay, I can tell you right now. We just recently did a test. I had a volunteer that helped me out with this, and we went and we bought the urine tests that they're going to be doing.
Okay.
If the cop suspects you and you can demand a urine sample, right? So the urine sample test that they're allowing, we grabbed a couple of those. Somebody that I know went 8 days cannabis free and took the test and tested positive.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had
Holy
McMahon
moly.
on. We had McMahon on the program, and he tested positive 10 hours after his consumption, and that was with the new federal machine, the Draeger 5000.
Draeger 5000, 10 hours after a bowl, he tested positive.
Yeah, and there was one other lad, 18 hours afterwards.
Yeah.
So what's the solution, do you guys think, to that? Like, is it that they're testing wrong, or is it, because I'm all for people being sober and driving, but what has to change? Is it the way they do it?
Yeah, well, there is no test. They have to come up with a viable test to prove impairment, because all they can prove right now is consumption. Consumption does not equal impairment. So they have to come up with a viable test to prove impairment. And it can't be even the standardized road test that they have now also comes into question, because if you're impaired, you have tremors, or if you're disabled, you have tremors, you have a disability with a leg or a limb.
It's already happened.
You're not passing this test anyway.
It's already happening.
Right.
So
it happened.
It
happened to a patient out in British Columbia. Yeah. He got had to do the sobriety test, and he informed the officer that he was a medical patient when he got out of the car, and he couldn't walk. He has severe arthritis in his spine.
Yeah.
He can't walk. He walks with a cane. He can't even walk
a straight line when he gets out of bed in the morning, never mind anything else. So he's not going to pass that test no matter what.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
What happened to him?
Good question.
He's been charged with it, and it has to go before the courts. Now, I know there are lawyers as well as guys such as Chuck Ricci who are waiting to find the proper situation to get involved and do a big court challenge on it.
Yeah. Yeah, they want the court challenge. They want this to go to the justices because it can't be. There's too many what ifs. There's no justifiable means to show impairment right now to date. So how can they charge anybody?
Right, exactly. And they're giving the police way too many powers to stop people based on that assumption. And a lot of us are going to get screwed.
Yeah. Well, and I've said that from the beginning. Is this going to come on the backs of patients? And it really, really is, because these were not concerns that were even on our radar a month ago.
No. Oh, yeah. I have, there are people who are driving around who are on things like heavy doses of Ativan. And they're also on, some people are on opiates, for example, for whatever reason. You know, you don't see them getting stopped and tested for what's in their blood, essentially. And yet we're the ones smoking weed, and we're being persecuted here on that.
Yeah. And a month ago, it wasn't even a concern. Patients would get in the car after consuming as a normal day, as we always do. And we drive. And we weren't worried about getting pulled over and having to take a roadside test because the policeman thinks that you're a cannabis consumer. I mean, that wasn't even on my radar as a patient 30 days ago, and now it is. I could lose my license because of legalization.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Especially because patients in general, unless you're like swerving around and you're clearly not fit to drive, many patients are completely functional. They just need to take their cannabis. And at the end of the day, you're persecuting people for taking their medicine. That just doesn't seem right to me.
No, I know. It's an iffy situation, and it's ever evolving. So now the company that you work for, Indiva, they are patient-based, and have they also signed with some distribution for provincial sales?
Yes, we're both medical and rec. We haven't actually sold any product yet. We got our sales license a little while ago. We've harvested our crops, and I do believe very shortly we are going to hit both markets. I can't specifically say when yet, but we're excited to do so. But I do know we have a very strong commitment to medical patients first, of course, and then what we have left, we're going to commit to the OCS.
Excellent. Well, that was going to be my next question, and you answered it already, because we were seeing that with now the legalization happening. A lot of patients are saying that the LP they're signed with doesn't have any product left for them as a patient. They're sold out. They're not able to get their meds. Is that something Indiva's looking at? And apparently it is. Yeah,
we're definitely making medical patients a priority. We recognize, obviously, that there's a difference between needing cannabis and wanting cannabis. And, again, part of the great thing about being a smaller company, yes, we're traded on the TSXV, but being a smaller company, we can make a lot of decisions that we deem profitable for the company, but also at the same time morally responsible. So those are the kinds of things, because we don't have thousands and thousands of shareholders beating our door down saying, how come, you know what I mean? Like, we're able to make quicker decisions. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. And I'm finding that's the case across the board with everybody that I've personally spoken to. Everybody that's complaining that their LP is out of product for patient, they're all registered with an LP that's a corporation. And everybody that is telling me their LP, no, I'm getting my meds that I need. Yeah, there's lots available. They're all smaller LPs that are privately run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and those are the ones that have
some
stock.
of these LPs. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm sure you have seen, like, some LP weed is really great, but then the ones that have run out where their weed isn't that great, they're actually doing their customers a favor.
Yeah.
To try something else.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I can jump in. Time for break.
Okay.
Time for break.
When we come back, we'll dive into the book.
That's right. Okay, Jonathan, what we've been doing here lately is we've been lining up our bumper music with our guests and, something connected to them. And I'll tell you, it was really hard for me to find something that would connect a cannabis song to a writer, somebody who writes. But I did find something here. And what this is this guy's a writer, and he wanted to, what he did was create a song. He wasn't normally a singer. He created a song, and he did this song in order to attract somebody to do an interview with him.
Cool.
So.
Nice.
All right. So tonight's bumper music is by a cannabis writer by the name of Javier Hesse, and we're going to hear a bit of his song. It's called Stop the Madness. And then when we return, Kim and I will continue our conversation with our guest, Jon Hiltz. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.net.
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Ooh.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Yo, allow me to drop some freestyle to talk cannabis legalization. Let me tell you about the Washingtons that could fund education. We could create a lot of flow for every state in our great nation, a multiple billion-dollar basis and new taxation. I'm hoping to God Jeff Sessions' tragic misinformation does not confuse the Congress, which needs to pass legislation ending with fratricide tax.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reef Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham and joint host Kim Cooper and Alicia Yashishin. No week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gagnac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at lifestyleradio.net or at our sister site, 420radio.ca. Hi, this is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Canadays, your friendly neighborhood Campbellford head shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Let us help you grow your 4 with weekly Tuesday night gardening sessions for beginners. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Canadays, more than just a head shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Solid tax burdens and medication. I care about the stoners, but this is really about the patients. This is a topic we refuse to ignore, the opioid epidemic hitting home is real hardcore. We got here at the cost of so many tombstones, leaving cartels to business while damning the good souls. They locked up yours, they locked up mine. But somewhere down the line we decided if you're white, you get off with a simple fine. The great debate over morals has to wait. That's Bubba telling Forrest about shrimp on Judgment Day.
Hello and welcome back to the award-winning Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.net. Tonight on the program, I'm joined by our guest writer and author, Jon Hiltz, and my joint host, the hardworking Kim Cooper. Hello, Kim. Well, Kim and John, for the first part there, we talked a little bit about the book. We talked about the LP situation. We're going to go right back into the book again?
Yeah.
Into more detail?
Yeah, we're getting into the book, I think now. We've given everybody a good overview of Jon and who he is and what he's all about and everything for anybody that was unaware. Let's get into your latest adventure, and that is the book, The Wild West, Canada's Legalization of Marijuana. It was first released on Kindle a little while ago, and now just sometime in the last 7 days, it's now available on paperback. You've put into a paperback basically what we've lived in the last decade or so, right?
Hello, John.
Did I lose John?
No.
Yes. No. I'm here. Sorry, that was my fault. I'm here.
Awesome. Right. No problem. Hit the mute button, hon.
Yeah, I did that. That was the headset I'm on actually wasn't plugged in the whole way. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
But yes, yes, absolutely. In answer to your question, the book is an homage to my love affair with the black market, essentially. And through my own experiences, it talks about essentially what happened in Canada I start off with, the prohibition at the beginning, of course, and why it was made illegal in the first place. And then we sort of fast forward to when Justin Trudeau was voted in. The book itself, of course, starts off basically during Project Claudia, which you guys, I'm sure, well remember.
Yes.
And it talks about how I was a reporter at that time for 3 weeks with Weed Maps. So up until Project Claudia, I was writing like these puff pieces about, vape lounges that served grilled cheese and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks in, Project Claudia happens, and I'm suddenly this investigative reporter that's asking police the hard questions as to why they're doing this bullshit. And so my job drastically changed from essentially a lifestyle writer to one that handled legalization, the ups and the downs. And so 500 articles with Weed Maps later, I said, wow, all of this, if I could put it together, would make a really great book. And so, that's what happened.
And that's what you did. And here we have the Wild West cannabis legalization of marijuana. Can't wait to get my copy of it. I am ordering one, but I can't wait. Oh, Canada Post on strike is just pissing me off. Everything is late.
Are they on strike? I placed an order online and it arrived on time.
Oh, you are so lucky.
Got it. Oh, good.
Yeah.
You are so lucky.
I ordered a carburetor for my snowblower.
Oh, you're lucky. Everything I've ordered so far has got that stamp on it that says this was delayed due to the postal strike. So, yeah. Everything that I'm getting
I didn't even realize there was a postal strike going on.
Yeah, rotating.
Yeah, well, when you're in Costa Rica, it's hard to tell whether it's a Canada postal strike. Come on.
Yeah.
You're just keeping in touch with our Canadians goings on over here. Well, looking at those palm trees, I don't blame you. So you took your compilation of 500 writings and you turned it into a book. Tell me some of the, I guess, some of the highlights stories that you like most in this one?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, a lot of the personal experiences I talked about, for example, my first time meeting the Emerys. I can give you an anecdote where years ago I was a television producer before I got into the cannabis industry.
Yep.
And I was doing a documentary on a woman by the name of Mary Jean Bedford, who's a dominatrix. And so she was invited to talk at Idea City. Oh, you do? Okay, good. Yeah,
she was in the news.
Yeah.
She was in the news.
Recently?
Yeah.
No, years ago.
Cool.
Yeah, when she was trying to make her business
exactly.
legal. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so she was responsible for modifying the prostitution laws. So my production company at the time thought it'd be great to do a show about her. But so suffice it to say, I was invited to Idea City, and then that's where I met Jody Emery for the first time. And we all went back to Moses Znaimer's house, Moses Znaimer being the television magnate.
Yep.
And afterwards, we were hanging out at this house, which I have to equate it more to like a palace. It's not really a house.
Yeah.
So we're like in the back in the grotto with a bunch of different people. It's me, Jody Emery, Dana Larson, and Mary Jean and Terry Jean Bedford. And so we're all sitting there smoking weed. So I got like this joint being passed around. On one side, I got Canada's most famous dominatrix. On the other side, I got one of Canada's most famous cannabis activists. And it was one of the most surreal moments of my life, just smoking weed behind a $25 million house with these people.
Great.
Yeah, but in terms of actual, like the highlights of legalization, I talk about, firstly, of course, when Trudeau originally was voted in and he went for legalization instead of decriminalization. And I talk about part of the problem with that, which, of course, is even though Trudeau is one of those guys who has admitted to smoking illegal weed, he wasn't being charged by the police. So the whole time legalization was happening, thousands of Canadians were still being thrown in jail for possession.
Right.
So I talk about the hypocrisy there as part of the book. And then, I go into different things like, of course, how throughout this process, Canada ended up becoming the world's weed dealer because everyone started looking to us and saying, well, if they can do it, we can modify our cannabis laws. And so there are countries around the world that have changed, sometimes baby steps, but have changed their laws to modify cannabis prohibition, all because we were one of the first.
That's
so
right.
I talk about that a lot.
Then, of
course, go.
Yeah, when you were talking about the legalization and how Trudeau went right to legalization instead of going through decriminalization, do you get into explaining the difference between the two? Because what I see online is people seem to have different opinions of what both of them mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, my definition of decriminalization and legalization essentially is if weed is decriminalized, it means that you essentially cannot be charged criminally for weed-related or cannabis-related transactions. That could mean that you can grow it, you can smoke it. I guess it's up to the government to determine if trafficking is still a crime because people are still going to want to get it from somewhere. But essentially, you get fined. And so that's one way to go. You know, I don't, to be honest, I don't have an opinion on that because I make my money from the legal cannabis industry. So I wouldn't even have a job if that was the case. I know some people look at it as if it's decriminalized, there is no penalties, but yet, as you just mentioned, there can be still penalties applied.
Yeah, and that's my my biggest concern with decrim. And that's
there's no legal supply source either.
Yeah, and that's my biggest and only concern with the decrim model. And I wasn't a big fan of it when it was being discussed way back when, because any cop that has, I mean, we all know there's cops out there that have certain people that have targets on their back. They see that person no matter what, they're pulling them over. There's just certain people out there. That cop's got a target, you got a target. And that's it. He's coming after you every time he sees you. That guy is going to get a ticket every time he smokes a joint. And that's my problem.
Absolutely. And I that makes a lot of sense, actually. And that's actually a very logical way to look at it, in my opinion. And to that point, you guys know that there's a huge discrepancy. For example, I wrote a story about how Toronto police, unfortunately, I can't even remember what the number is, but a significant percentage higher of minorities were receiving penalties for cannabis. You know, I mean, the joke, unfortunately, and it's a very sad joke, is that if you're white, cannabis has been legal forever.
That's right.
And that's unfortunate and horrible. And so the fact that legalization came along, I mean, you can't, arrest somebody for something that's legal.
That's right. That's right.
And that's one thing Doug Ford has done good for that we like as far as the cannabis issue is, he has allowed, public use, and he is allowing, the retail. And so.
Yeah, in Ontario, once we get distribution sorted out, we've got one of the best systems in the country. Really.
Some places like Halifax, for example, you can't even consume on the sidewalk.
That's right.
It's against the law.
Oh my God! It's
take
a look at Quebec. Even in Quebec, you can't have a pot leaf on things. I mean, it's draconian over there.
Yeah. The word doobie, marijuana, cannabis, pot leaves, anything like that, wake and bake, even that phrase is outlawed. Like anything that's got to do with cannabis. If it can be related to cannabis, they're outlawing it. It's just
it is. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And then it's crazy. And say what you want about Doug Ford. I understand he's a lightning rod for controversy, and there's a number of things that he's done as premier that I disagree with. But the one thing that I do agree with is he opened up our market. I mean, how can you go against he's been great for cannabis, and I mean Kathleen Wynne was just in the dark ages. So he's much better in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. For the cannabis community, we're definitely better off with this system. There's no question there. As much as I like to rag on Doug Ford, I picked through that thing looking for something I could bitch about, and I couldn't find anything, and it really pissed me off. It pissed me off because he nailed it. He really did. He got it. I mean, for what he has to work with, Ontario is better off than many provinces out there. I can't fault him for that.
Yeah, but don't forget, we're still waiting 6 months before we can.
Yeah. He's slow on the takeoff for distribution. That's for sure. That's the only thing I can't bitch about.
Because they're not even taking applications until the end of the year.
The end of the year.
Yeah. As a store owner.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind me interrupting here, as a store owner, if I had invested into getting a license to sell pot and there was no friggin' pot to sell and my loans were due, I'd be awfully pissed. So I'm kind of happy that he's not doing anything. It gives me a chance to say screw it.
that was Wayne, the owner here at the store.
Yeah, because Wayne was looking at getting a license to distribute, right? Now that there is no product to distribute, is it worth the investment? So like Wayne is pointing out, is it sort of a thanks for that to Doug Ford for taking his time.
Yeah, I mean, essentially it is. And do you guys actually think and I don't have an answer to this, do you think everything's going to be ready by April? Like, are the stores actually going to be ready, or do you believe it'll be later?
Oh, well, they say they're going to be ready, but I doubt very much if they will be. I mean, when is anything the government does are going to be done on time? And even if the stores are built, are we going to have product to put in them?
They're going to give
that's a good question.
If the process isn't opening up until January 22nd, before the process opens up.
Yeah, and
they're going to open the stores on April the 1st. That's not allowing a lot of time for anybody to really get set up.
6-8 week process to even get authorized. Yeah, you're
Yeah, exactly.
So that leaves you 3 weeks to 4 weeks to have your store up and ready and to open the doors in under a month and stocked.
Punch a hole in the wall back there, Wayne.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the timeline working out so good for them, but it's a wait and see thing, I guess. Okay, so going back to your book.
Back to your book. Back to the book.
Back to your book. You were going to tell us a third story. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, I know. I also, I visit a lot of the problems that have existed. I was going to mention, of course, that we've had a lot of issues south of the border in the United States. Border guards taking it upon themselves now to ask random Canadians if they've ever smoked cannabis in their lifetime, and then giving them a lifetime ban if they admit the truth. I mean, just complete ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So I write a lot about that. I mean, thankfully, some of that has been amended. For a while, as an executive in the cannabis industry, I wasn't even really, I had to go really like under the radar when traveling through the U.S. I couldn't tell them what I did for a living because I was risking not being allowed in.
Right. Right. So you have to put down stuff like just you're a writer and leave it sort of oblique.
Right. Yeah, they ask me what I do for a living. I say journalist, and they let me through. And I'm not lying, of course. I am a journalist, but I'm always going under the hope that they don't say, well, what do you write for? Because all they really have to do is type my name in Google, and they find 500 articles on pot and now a book. And guess what? You're
going home.
Yeah. What am I going to say? Oh, I write about pot, but I've never tried it.
And it won't matter if you wrote 30 years ago. You wrote about it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's just ludicrous. But, so I that, and then, and the book covers a good, there's a whole chapter dedicated to, I tried to do a dichotomy between the black market and the legal market, for lack of a better term. So, for example, there is a chapter dedicated to activists, mainly the Emerys, because they made like them or hate them, I know they're very controversial figures in the industry. They made a huge, you can't talk about legalization without them. And then, of course, I also interviewed Bruce Linton from Canopy Growth. So I actually on purpose did that because I wanted to get their story as to how they became the juggernaut that they are. So people could read both about the dark side, quote unquote, and the light side to make their own
now
assumptions.
I have to get it even more.
Okay.
Now I have to get this book even more. I got to read that chapter. I mean, that is so cool. I love that you cover all of the sides of everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't see any other way to do it. I can tell you that, I'm a child of the gray market because that's where I came from in terms of my likes and dislikes. But, I have nothing but respect for we are now, I know that money is a secondary factor in some people's minds, but as Canadians, we got to be proud that we've created a multi-billion-dollar industry on weed. I mean, it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And an illegal product at that.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes,
I mean, this all started from, like you say, the black market, the gray market, and you know, the activists and the consumers that have been out there and hiding in the shadows and in the dark and dodging the cops all these years. And here it is, you know, decades later, and we have storefront operations with knowledgeable staff behind the desk and various products. And it's not just a bag of weed from your buddy on the corner anymore. And this was all created on the down low.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really something to see. I'm truly, you know, it's amazing to me because when you look at the span of your life, not to get too existential, to be alive at this time in history, to see this happen is so amazing because it's a blip in time in the grand scheme of things. And here we are getting to experience it firsthand, living in the country that is actually doing it, the first G7 country. Now, that is something amazing.
Oh, yeah. It is. It absolutely is. And your book is out there now detailing much of it with your name in print on this paperback novel that is now out there. You're sure to be going down as part of that history now, aren't you?
Well, I whatever my small part is, I'm glad to definitely be a part of it. Even before I was in the cannabis industry, I was an advocate. Like back when I was writing just traditional journalism, every time I pitched a story to an editor, I would pitch stories that were pro-cannabis on purpose. I would write about it just because I wanted to, you know, push the rock up the hill in my own small way. And there were even editors that had asked me in the past to write anti-cannabis articles, and I refused. Even when I needed the money, I refused because I said I just don't believe that, so I'm not going to write about it. So, I wouldn't say that I've been arrested.
You might have written some articles about some events. Did you write any articles for local newspapers when you were doing like local newspapers on the cannabis events?
Yeah. I used to write about back. There was a couple of newspapers. There was one in Canada, like a website for a while that was called the Toronto Standard. I wrote about dispensaries for them and also vape lounges. And I also, there were magazines. Like there's a great magazine called Food in Canada, and I wrote about the popularity of weed long before legalization was a thought. So. You know, I mean, I love it. I mean, I started smoking weed when I was 30, and my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner.
Amazing. What an evolution you've lived through from the beginning, going to these events. I know as a participant at many of those events in Toronto over the years, there was always some roving reporters around that were asking people questions in the crowd. So maybe we met years ago. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's possible.
It's possible. Who knows? Maybe we even share to join.
Yeah, I think I saw you, Kim. Were you at the Cannabis Cup last year? I think I saw you there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I saw you there, and that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, lots of interesting tidbits of information and a host of stories that you've printed, like you said, over 500 combined in a very, very cool book available on Amazon. I know we're coming up on break time, so I don't want to dive into the next conversation.
All right, we'll just go for break. All right. So, it's commercial time again. Time to promote those who support us. And our bumper music tonight is by a cannabis writer, Javier Hasse, with a song called Stop the Madness. Then when we return, Kim and I will continue our conversation with our guest, Jon Hiltz. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.net.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Veterans, kids and mothers, patients going down the gutters. What about the taxes and what about the jobs? It's time to make it legal. We gotta cut the loss. To recap, 3.2 million American civilians are missing out on billions. Boost tobacco farm and prisons are leading this grand shakeout. There's nothing left to say or do, we're done. We need a bill out. It's time to close the fracture. Weed is not the malefactor. We can't just let this play out. For some, death is less than a year out.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Canadays, your friendly neighborhood Campbellford head shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Let us help you grow your 4 with weekly Tuesday night gardening sessions for beginners. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Canadays, more than just a head shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as a daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reef Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham and joint host Kim Cooper and Alicia Yashishin. No week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gagnac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at lifestyleradio.net or at our sister site, 420radio.ca.
This is Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper. Catch me on The Reefer Reporters, aired on lifestyleradio.net. Available for replay or download on Lifestyle Radio or Spreaker.
Tune in to DJ Passion from the land of Ganja, the island of Jamaica, when he comes to you live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on lifestyleradio.net. Listen in until midnight every weekend as he spins your favorite reggae tunes, including the classics, from Butterfly's Passion, Bed and Breakfast Above Discovery Bay. DJ Passion makes you feel like you are on the island. Head to the land of sun, fun, and ganja weekly when you tune in Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to Reggae Saturday with DJ Passion, live here on lifestyleradio.net.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
It's nonpartisan. The hard part is in convincing Congress legalization matters so their hearts get in the fight. Not to get high, but for relief. A belief that there's a leaf that can help millions ease their grief. Sean Spicer, I will buy your alternative facts. I will play board games with the Kushners. I'll wear a Trump campaign hat. Our citizens are suffering. Stop the madness. It's just pot. Help our patients. All that's needed is one law.
Music. Hello and welcome back to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.net. Tonight's music was by cannabis writer Javier Hasse, who was written for High Times magazine, plus other publications. And this song was put onto a record. and everybody enjoyed it so much that it ended up on the Billboard charts. So if you enjoyed it, I'm sure you'll be able to find it online, YouTube. Look around at some of the other social media sites. You might find it around. Tonight, I'm joined by my joint host, the hardworking Kim Cooper, and our guest, author and writer Jon Hiltz. And Kim, I think we've lost Jon, and we'll just hold off while our producer works very hard behind the scenes to bring him back.
Yeah, yep. I've got him online, and our producer, I should say, is working hard and diligently trying to reconnect with Jon and see what we can do. There is a good possibility we may not get Jon back, from what I'm understanding. It may have something to do with the place that he is at right now. We said at the beginning of the show, as we said, Jon is in Costa Rica, and he thinks that maybe his phone has been disconnected down there.
Oh, well. Can't even dial out, eh?
Yeah. So we won't be getting Jon back. That'll be the end of our interview with Jon. I did get a message from him. He is, as I said, he's lives part-time in Costa Rica, and apparently the government there has caught wind of our show.
It sounds like Big Brother is listening. Wow, we got listeners from all around the world tonight.
Hello, government of Costa Rica, we love you. We love your country. We love your people. We absolutely love vacationing there, and we love your weather. No offense to anyone in Costa Rica.
So as far as Jon's book, The Wild West, it's available at Amazon, right, Kim, you were saying?
Yeah, you can pick that up on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. It's under, just look on Amazon.com and look up Wild West, Canada's legalization to marijuana, and it will take you right to the book. You can also Google Jon Hiltz, and you'll be able to find some links there attached to the book, and find out how to order it. Over 500 stories he's written past year and a half to 2 years or so, and that's quite a lot.
And he uses those stories as a way of telling, almost like telling the history of as things changed over from prohibition to legalization.
Yeah. It's quite a journey that we've all been on, and to see it from a reporter's perspective, like Jon got a chance to go behind the scenes, like he was saying during the Project Claudia raids, he was right there. He got to interact with the police department and ask them some questions as a journalist, where, regular people like you and I, even though we are journalists on the air here, he's got the credentials and so forth from a magazine and from a regular publication where he can say, I'm a journalist, and answer my questions. And he gets right in there with the media, and he gets that perspective unlike other people do. So it's really going to be an interesting compilation, I'm sure. I've followed his career over the last few years, and a lot that he's written through weed maps, and marijuana.com, I think it was.
Exactly. Marijuana.com. That's where I was reading some of his stuff as well.
Yeah. And he's a really good writer.
Yeah. And it's people who, from doing writings and stuff, that helps spread the information or the knowledge or what other people are doing, and helps to spread that, share it around.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, he touched on the fact that while he was doing like a beat reporter, like writing for newspapers, that he did cover the cannabis end of things and wrote articles like that, and actually rejected requests from editors to write a negative article.
And he said no, which is admirable, especially for somebody. I mean, he's trying to feed his family. He could have easily said, yeah, just let me do it for the money. But his integrity wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, exactly. So, it shows you that, what he's writing is, it's real.
Yeah, that's right. It's real.
He's already refused to write bullshit articles for money, so.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for sure. I've really enjoyed all of his writing over the last little while. It's a shame we won't get to find out what's going to happen next. We'll have to get him back on the show for an update in January. I do have him on chat, and we've been chatting away while we're talking, and he's going to be switching carriers and said, he's available to come back in the future, and we absolutely do want that to happen.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know when he comes back to Canada, or, whether he would have to wait until he comes back to Canada.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe because some carriers are different than other carriers as far as, the way they're run. Who looks after them? I don't know. We only have 3 or 4 here in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wayne says actually just one. Well, Kim, really, I don't know where you like to go. Should we just wrap things up from here?
Yeah, maybe we'll just wrap it up early. We'll take a 15-minute hiatus or a little bit early for an end to the show. It's a shame we lost Jon to find out what is next, but we will get him back on, and I'll post an update as well on Facebook, and I'll just make sure that he's one of my first shows in the start of the new year.
Yeah, well, we can't ask him for a shout out, but we can remind our listeners one more time where you can find Jon's book.
Yeah, Jon Hiltz' book, Wild West, Canada's Legalization of Marijuana, is available on Amazon. You can also find Jon on Facebook for sure. I do believe he is on Instagram and Twitter and on LinkedIn as well. And it's Jon Hiltz without the H, Jon, and Hiltz, Hiltz, on Facebook. So look him up. Check out the book, The Wild West. Great read from a great writer.
Yeah. And Kim, you got a shout out?
My shout out is to no, I don't have a shout out.
You don't. What'd you say, Wayne? The bath bombs.
Bath bombs. Yeah. Okay, Bella. Good idea, Wayne. It's that kind of a day. Good idea. Bella Vita bath bombs. My favorite thing to do is to take bath bombs. And Wayne knows that. I think everybody that knows me knows that. I love my bath bombs.
Well, I have been asked. I have been asked about the bath bombs. Like, someone said to me, like, do they work? Like,
they work. They work. I have so many people hooked on these bath bombs. Non-cannabis consumers are falling in love with these bath bombs because they work so well. I mean, if you have any kind of body ache or body pain, your muscles, your skin tension, tremors even, just hyperactivity, you can't relax, sit in a tub with one of these things. Man, you get out of there and you're numb. You have no pain and you have the most relaxing sleep. It just is the best sleeping pill in the world.
So if you can't find a nice warm hot tub with strong jets, throw a bath bomb into the tub and you're good to go.
You're good to go, man. I mean, really, it's the best thing in the world. I've fallen in love with these things, and everybody I give them away like candy almost. It's like just to people because I like them so much. I want everybody to try it. And as soon as they do, they say, "Oh, where can I get them?"
Well, hey, you might be able to convert some shower people to bath people.
Well, it did to me. I'll tell you that. I was not a bath person. I have been a shower girl my entire life. Even as a kid, I wasn't a bath person. And I liked getting in the shower. I didn't like the idea of sitting in the bath. It wasn't appealing to me. It never has been. Well, add cannabis, and I love it.
Hey, our skin is an organ. Right?
That's it.
Absorbs. That's right.
That's it. I mean, it works. And I mean, hell, if it works, I'm on it.
Couple candles going, some music.
Well, for me, it's usually my phone in a Ziploc bag. And I just sit back and I scroll. Okay, look at that. 40 minutes went by and I didn't even notice.
Is that plastic bag? Is it a Ziploc bag that's closed?
Yes.
Okay, because it doesn't do much good if it falls in the water while it's over.
No, and of course you've got to have the shatterizer.
Yes, that's right. I've got mine right here.
Yeah, shatterizer. Hey, that's you know what? That's the perfect combination. The shatterizer, Mary's tea, the sleepy and relaxed tea, and a bath bomb. Man, you are sleeping. You are sleeping.
Nice relaxing sleep for sure. Yeah. You don't want to fall asleep in the tub.
No.
All right. Okay. So to the bath bomb people, so that's your shout out. All right. I'd like to remind everybody that we will be back next Wednesday. Joint host will be Lisa Yashishin with her special guest. And I seen she posted the person's name and made the announcement, but unfortunately I didn't catch it. I was too busy as we were trying to line up for the show tonight, and I missed it. But by all means, it will be a special guest. Did you catch it, Kim? Just so I know.
I did, and I'm trying to remember, and I'm trying to push my brain to remember, but it's not there. It's just not there, and my computer isn't fast enough. So.
Heather DeRose. Thank you, voice in the ear there.
Yeah, Heather DeRose. There she is, Heather DeRose.
Yes. I see that she's already got it posted, so that's good to see. All right. You can find the Pace Radio Show. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, as well as you can find us on the web at pace-online.ca. Thank yous go out to our sponsors, CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler, as well as Canada's here in downtown Camelford. And they just added body piercing?
Yeah.
Camelford Lifestyle Shop. They have a spot in here and doing body piercing.
Body piercing, jewelry, and even some furry handcuffs and whips if you need.
There you go. All right. Also, a big thank you to our producer, Al Rapp. He also has a shadowizer in his hand. And to our guests, big thank you to writer and author Jon Hiltz. It's just he unfortunately has left the show, but thank you for appearing, and we look forward to having him on in the future. Right, Kim?
Yes, absolutely. We will have him back again, hopefully early next year, and wrap this up and find out what's next.
All right. Okay. And also to you, Kim, thank you for all your hard work and everything you do.
No, thank you, Al. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. And good night.
Good night.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.